Get out. You're fired." Those words hit the air like a slap across the face, and I swear for a split second, nobody in the waiting room could breathe. "Dr." Mara's voice cut through the hallway, sharp and cold, echoing off the linoleum floors while everyone stared. Nurses, patients, that bored kid with the action figure. Nobody moved. I watched as the nurse, Asha, just stood there, frozen, her cheeks burning red, her hands clenched tight at her sides like she was holding on for dear life. She just slapped a patient, yeah, a man in a wheelchair, right in front of everyone, and now her whole world was unraveling in slow motion. "He touched me inappropriately," she managed to say, her voice barely more than a whisper. "I told him to stop." "But Dr." Mara didn't care. "Not then. You laid hands on a patient. That's it." That's all he said, like he'd already made up his mind before she even opened her mouth. The man in the chair, Mr. Suru, was rubbing his cheek, wincing, but honestly, he looked more pleased with himself than hurt, casting these smug little glances around the room, probably loving the attention. "No respect left for patients," he muttered, loud enough for the whole waiting room to hear. And with that, security marched Asha out. No questions, no investigation, just gone. 5 years wiped out with one crack of a door slamming shut. I'll never forget the sound. It was like the whole clinic was holding its breath. That night, the rain came down in sheets, hard and mean, like the city itself was mourning something nobody would say out loud. Asha sat in her apartment, this little shoebox barely big enough for her and her regrets, staring at her nursing certificate on the wall, the same one she'd once been so damn proud of, now just a sad piece of paper. Her phone buzzed nonstop, texts from coworkers, a few words of sympathy, but nothing from Dr. Mara, not a word. She looked up to that man, you know? Self-made, a big shot, running one of the best clinics around. Stern, sure, but fair, at least she'd thought so, until the world flipped upside down in a single afternoon. Truth is, this wasn't the first time she'd felt Mr. Suri's eyes on her, lingering too long, his smirk following her around every corner. It started small, asking for help with the straps on his wheelchair, then grabbing her wrist, holding on just a little too long. You know the type. She told Dr. Mara about it once. He'd brush her off. "He's harmless," he said. "Just a lonely old man, didn't overthink it." So she kept her head down, tried to brush it off, until the day before everything exploded. That was the day Mr. Suri reached for her waist, pretending he needed help, and something in her snapped, because sometimes it's not anger, it's survival. And if you've ever been there, you know exactly what I mean. The next morning, the air in the clinic was thick, like everybody knew something was about to break. Dr. Mara showed up, white coat crisp, looking like nothing in the world could rattle him. But the front desk was buzzing, staff whispering, eyes skittering away from his. And then he saw Thema TV crew waiting in the lobby. Yeah, cameras and all, like some made-for-TV drama, except this time it was real life. Dr. Mara, care to comment on the sexual harassment allegations made by your former nurse against the patient here? The reporter was right in his face, camera rolling, the whole clinic watching. And there was Asha standing beside a police officer, her chin up, eyes steady. "She's filed a report," the officer said, "and we have the CCTV footage." Someone hit play on a tablet, and suddenly the truth was right there. Mr. Suri's hand, reaching, grabbing, her flinch, his twisted little grin, then the slap. The whole room changed in a heartbeat. Mr. Suri? He wasn't grinning anymore. They cuffed him right, the Reno Moore performance. Just a scared old man in a wheelchair. Dr. Mara looked like he'd seen a ghost, color draining from his face as whispers started swirling. "Why, didn't you listen? She told you, man." Asha? She didn't gloat, didn't shout, just stood tall, like she'd finally found her footing after years of walking on eggshells. Later that day, rain beating against his office window, Dr. Mara sat alone, staring at nothing. There was a knock. Asha stepped in, calm, almost gentle. "I didn't come for revenge," she said, "but I wasn't going to be silent anymore." He tried to apologize, words tangled up in his throat, but she cut him off, soft but firm. "You didn't just fail me, you failed yourself. This place used to be about healing, didn't let fear or your reputation change that." She walked out and didn't look back. The clinic had to change after that new harassment policies, cameras everywhere, mandatory training, anonymous reporting. And Asha? She didn't go back. Word got around. Thuffa Hospital across town offered her a job, better pay, real respect, a team that actually listened. Funny thing is, justice doesn't always show up with a bang. Sometimes it walks in quiet, stands its ground, and lets the truth speak for itself. Now, here's where I gotta ask, what would you have done? Would you have spoken up? Or kept your head down? Do you think Dr. Mara deserves forgiveness? Or was he just protecting his reputation? Maybe you see it differently. Maybe you think justice is just a story people tell themselves at night. But if this hit you, if it made you think about what's right and what's easy, then drop a comment, tell your story, let's talk about it. Because, honestly, sometimes the only way anything changes is when regular people like you and me decide to stand up and say enough is enough.